Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today's video is going to be on a couple of different things actually. But I had one thought for it and then we ended up combining it with something else, so we're going to talk about a few things today. But let's talk about the background story to this hive actually. Basically, I don't know what happened, but one day my dad walked up here and was like, why are there so many bees in the shed? It's not robbing season. And they were inside this shed in one of the bee boxes. So I guess that was pretty nice because they already basically made home and they completely drew out one of our frames. So that was just happening and we had no clue. So that's great actually. Is it one of our hives? I don't know. I don't think it is. I honestly don't, because I checked all of them recently and around that time at least, and none of them had swarmed, it looked like, so I don't really know. But one thing you can tell sometimes is just the bees look a little different. That's what my dad thinks, but I don't really know. I can't really tell the difference. But anyways, if that is the case, if they are a different from somewhere else out there, we're gonna not fully get rid of them, but we're gonna use them to help boost other hives because we don't really want to keep them going and get new genetics in here. We want to keep what we have right now. So whenever we bring in new types of queens or swarms that we don't know where they came from, we always try to kind of slowly get rid of them and not build them up to where we're grafting from them and everything, because we just want to make sure we're keeping our genetics that we have going already. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use them to help, I think it's, how many's over there? 16, I think 16 other hives right now that we have at a different yard. Now, one of the things that can be challenging about that is transporting everything. Now, you can just use a normal nuke box. I'm going to do that today, but I'm just going to use some pro nukes. But one of the nice things that we have here is a Hive Butler. They've been around for a little while now, and I actually got this a year and a half ago, I think, at West Virginia. That was one of the best conferences I've been to. That was a really good conference. I had a lot of fun there. But that was a while ago, and we've been using it a lot. I just never got around to actually filming a video on it. It's been to so many different places. It's been to Illinois. It's been to a lot of different places, and we actually looked for it everywhere today. And I didn't know if we'd be able to use it because we couldn't find it, but we found it. Anyways, so it's a little dirty, but it's just because it's been used. So this is just wax in the bottom here. But the point of a Hive Butler is to be able to move frames around and they're not going to spill everywhere. I'll show you what that looks like when I pull these out here. But the frames just slide down in here. I believe there's 10 that fit in here, and they're not going to move because they have these little notches right here, so they don't move around, which is really nice, especially if you're doing anything with swarm catching, or if you're on a ladder or whatever it is and you want to hold it like this, then you can, and your frames aren't going to fall out. And then they've also got this lid here. Now this one's ventilated. That's why I'm using it today. They have one that's just a solid one, but I'm using ventilated today because I'm actually going to keep the bees that are on the frames today, and I'm just going to put them straight into here. And so I want them to have as much ventilation as possible. And it just goes on top like that. It clicks in so the lid doesn't fall off, and it's solid. They're not going to come out. So we're going to use this today and just see how it works. We use it a lot for honey, and it's nice because the honey's not going to drip out anywhere. So anywho, actually I got to stop saying anywho. I've gotten so many comments about it.
I love it.
I do too, but I'll try to stop saying it.
No.
Anyways. Or anywho. Okay, moving on. Today is also the 24th of July, for anybody that's ever wondering about that. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm curious to see how they're looking. I don't know if I've actually been in this hive yet. I've just heard all the stories about it. So what we ended up doing though is we just pulled the box out and then put them right in front of here. That way hopefully they would maybe go into it a little bit. But we shoved a bunch of grass in front of there. That way they would think they're kind of, oh, I don't know what's going on there, in a new spot. I did mow, but I kind of missed one spot right there. Of course, the one spot that we're going to video. But anyways, so I don't know what's happening here, but swarms are always really crazy when it comes to wax. They always build it out like crazy. I'm hoping to get about, hopefully 20 frames of brood today. I know they're not going to have that many frames, but I'm hoping they'll have at least 10 or so. Now the reason why we're gonna do this is because we've got some hives that just they're not quite there yet, and I want them to be building up right now before it gets too late and they won't make it through winter, because we already have to start thinking about that. I'm also gonna keep my eye out for the queen, but we do this a lot. Especially this time of the year, we always are adding brood to hives, especially if we just have a hive that maybe they're trying to swarm or there's just too many of them in there. We don't want to add another box or whatever is going on. We can just pull some brood out and slow them down a little bit, and that's definitely going to help out another hive. Sometimes a little nuke just needs a quick little boost, whether that's just a frame of bees, a shake of bees, a frame of brood, maybe a little bit of food. And sometimes that's all it takes for them to start going. So like, I'm gonna count this as a good solid frame of brood. It might not look like much, but that's definitely gonna help out a hive. So we're gonna count this. I'm really hoping I find the queen today, because I don't wanna add her to a hive. I think it looks good. If I don't end up finding her, I'll go through it again, and then I'll also probably have my mom double check these frames to make sure that they're not on it. Sometimes it's a good idea to get a second look. So it just slides in right there, and then it doesn't move. So like a normal nuke box doesn't have anything on the bottom there that's going to keep that frame in place, but this does. So it doesn't move around, and because we are going to be driving another, I don't know how far it is. It's probably like 15 or 20 minutes, which is a little ways, and we're in Missouri, so the roads are awful. I'm gonna take that off and throw it aside and pretend like you didn't see it. It doesn't look like fresh. I don't know what it is, but it might be. It looks like you do typically want to keep that stuff because it can go to a lot of good stuff, but I'm not good about it. It looks like they have drawn out this one, so all of these frames except for these two, maybe. So they're doing really well. There's a pink frame. That's what it was that they drew out. Okay, we're gonna pull that out. Now, one thing that they will do also is build funky comb, like this right here. You typically want to try and get rid of it if you can. I'm just gonna pull it off here. This next frame looks pretty bad though. Sometimes that just means we didn't wax it properly right there. Sometimes they just do that. So this is another solid frame of brood. I'm just gonna check for the queen. I don't believe she's marked. I don't know if I already said that, but I'm gonna put this in here. Now there's not like a ton of bees on these frames, but it's not that I need bees. I more just need the brood, so I'm not too worried about that. This next one is mostly food. I think the next few frames are just gonna be food. I'm probably gonna knock them down to a single today. Yeah, these are just solid food frames. I'm just gonna check this one here just to make sure that she's not on it. I don't think she would be, but you never know. Yes, there's not a ton of bees in here, but they definitely built up quite a bit. Yeah, these are all fresh, new comb. These are just full of food. Oh, look who it is. Good thing I checked. So she's right here. You don't happen to have a queen clip, do you?
Yes.
You do? Where'd she go?
She's right there.
Oh, there she is. She's pretty. Okay, well, I'm gonna clip her if you have that. You don't? It's okay.
Yeah, I do.
You do? Perfect. Okay, here's just a queen clip. I'm gonna put her in here. Okay, so she's in there. Just because I'm gonna keep going through this hive in this second box, and I just wanna make sure that she's somewhere set aside. So there's no chance of rolling her or putting her into this Hive Butler over here. So I'm just gonna set her down on the lid over here. That's actually a really bad spot. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put her right here. She'll be fine. There's some bees in there. She'll be fine for a while at least. I'm gonna pull this box off and go to the bottom. That's probably where most of the brood's gonna be. Even if I end up knocking them down to a nuke today, that's fine too. I can also use the food that they have in here for some other hives that are probably just over there actually. They'll probably go to nukes. Okay, so this pink frame here is it from the expo? I think it is. I think we were just walking around and then somebody handed me a pink frame. They were just handing them out. Who? Acorn, I think it was. I don't know. Yeah, Acorn, right here. They were handing them out everywhere, so I'm sure some of you probably got one. I like the pink. I know a lot of the beekeepers aren't going to because they're mostly guys, but I think it looks great. We actually bought a bunch of, I gotta stop blaming my dad, but we actually bought a bunch of drone frames this year because we wanted to increase that a little bit. And instead of buying, instead of buying normal deeps that we always use, he bought mediums. I don't know why. We've never used mediums as brood boxes. And I don't think he checked what they looked like, so that's on him, but it's fine. So we have this one. This is the one that they drew out inside of the shed actually, which is great because now we have it. This is a really small brood frame. This next frame looks really nice. So this is a solid one. That looks really good. So she's got a pretty decent pattern. I'm gonna take that for sure. So we'll give this to one that's really struggling, and that should give him a really good boost. Okay, so this next one, I thought it was a drone frame, but maybe it's not. It's not?
No, it's a regular frame.
Oh, why didn't you correct me earlier?
I didn't know that's where you're going.
Oh, I think I kept saying drone frame. Maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Well, it's not a drone frame. Usually drone frames are like bright colored, so that's why I thought it was. It's definitely not. You would be able to tell because the cells would be really big. I might leave this one here just because it's the pink one. But if I don't find much else brood, then I'll go ahead and take it. I think that's probably about it actually. I'm gonna go ahead and take this one anyways, just because it's not much brood, but I could put like two frames that look like this and I would call that like a solid one frame of brood. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that anyways. So that's 4 frames. That's probably all I'm gonna get out of it just because I don't wanna take everything. There were some solid frames of just eggs too, so they'll have that, but I think the rest of this, so this is just eggs. Now one thing I will say, if you're a new beekeeper or you're wanting to look into beekeeping and you're not sure like what kind of foundation you want to do or if you even want to, I would recommend plastic foundation. And if you're gonna do it, or I would actually recommend Premier foundation if you have the money and you want to use waxed frames, I'd recommend that. But anyways, if you're gonna buy plastic foundation, get the black one, the black like color. It's on this one here, or I've actually been pulling it out, but this white one makes it like earth yellow, makes it impossible to find eggs. That's just one thing that I've picked up on the last few years. So just a little note, if you want to get into beekeeping, always get the darker colors usually. That's what I use for grafting too. Like the cups, they have like a bright yellow and I always get the darkest ones just because it's a little bit easier to see the larva and everything. That's another thing, like especially when grafting, it's impossible to find those eggs. So anyways, okay, let's see, how do I want to do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I got 4 frames out of that. These are 2 sort of kind of brood frames right here. So I'm going to leave that for them. I might pull out these ones just because there's nothing really on it. So there's nothing on that, so I'm going to just shake them off of that, and then I'll just set it out. There's a tiny little bit of food right there. The bees will come and get that. I'm just making room to be able to knock them down to a single because they don't need all that space anymore. I think this is also just kind of a empty frame. So we're gonna take that. We need to fit 10 in here. I know the top box had some empty stuff in there too. Okay, this is just kind of drawn out. There's nothing in it. There's a little tiny bit. They're not too mean. They're a little feisty, but it's not bad. It just makes you curious what they are. I'm gonna go ahead and put this lid on though, just so they stay in there. If you want to check out the Hive Butler, I'll leave their website in the description. I know a couple places that sell it also. I know Hilco, I forgot what their name was. Hilco sells them right now, so I'll leave that in the description if you want to check it out. I really recommend them. They come in use a lot. You just don't think about it until you have one, and then you use them a lot actually. Okay, I think I'm just going to keep combining everything here, and then I'll put the queen back in, and then we'll call it good. I usually every year we have a hive that we just end up using for taking a bunch from, and we had one this year that usually they're picked out by how old they are. So she was like I think she was green, or she was blue. She was a blue queen, I think, which is a little bit older, and so we just kind of decided we're going to use that this year to pull a bunch of brood from and pull stuff from if we need it. That's also kind of the point of a resource hive. So that's kind of what we made it to be this year, and this is what that is for today. I'm going to move these frames over and just kind of figure out how I want to do this, take out any empty frames and put in the food, and then if I have anything extra, I'll go ahead and either store that somewhere and use it for some nukes that need it later on in the year, or I'll just go put them in some hives. So I'm gonna go find another hive to steal from brood, some brood from, put it in that Hive Butler, and then we're gonna take it over to these early summer splits that we made and kind of give them a little boost, and then they should be set for winter. I think that's it. So thanks for watching today's video. Follow along more bee adventures, and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.